We are going to go through a very limited explanation of Nihanchi Shodan. I think it's very important to realize that Nihanchi Shodan historically came out of the 1500s. And I think it's just as important to remember that Nihanchi Shodan was not a tournament style. It in fact was designed to enforce who was in charge, which translates out that if you challenged that person, they killed you. They weren't talking about giving you a bloody nose. They weren't talking about, knocking you to the ground. These were designed to kill. And if you watch Nihanchi Shodan and Nidan, you'll find the very similar flavor between the two katas, which is protect, unlock, control, usually with a knockout, and then a neck break for killing. They're very consistent. Interestingly enough, the third Nihanchi form doesn't even do that. It doesn't even finish the techniques. So in my feeling, it's not even a true fighting kata at all. It was made by somebody else other than Nihanchi. And now you can call me what you want, but if you look at and analyze the katas, they're just completely different flavors between Nihanchi Shodan, Nidan, and the third kata. It's just not a Nihanchi kata despite what people claim. And I think as you see as we progress on, that's yep. Yep. As Sensei Rick was just adding to me, which is very true, that in Nihanchi Shodan there are no reflex strikes. Nihanchi Shodan and Nidan are full of not just pressure points, but actually reflex pressure points, which makes it a very high level kata. You're teaching it at a white belt or a second level. I mean, it's obviously that you're not teaching it to somebody who understands the full level of pressure points. Yet when you're doing this kata for real, like I believe it came out of the 1500s, it uses all reflex pressure points. It's not that it doesn't hit, but it's definitely using reflex hardware pressure points to cause the damage that it does. Okay? So we're going to go through the form section by section, and what I mean by that is that we're going to show you from the start of the person grabbing you. Now again, this is not a fighting kata from out here. You didn't challenge somebody. I truly believe this kata was designed not even from out here, but in here. Now, if you look historically, just for a second, I'm going to tell you why I believe that. And that is, when you look back in that era, the people that were in charge, the nobles, got their money by collecting taxes. And nobody wants to pay taxes. They don't want to pay taxes now any more than they did then. Well, they didn't willingly hand over 10% or 25% of their income. So they had to send their bodyguards out to collect these taxes. Well, who kept the bodyguards in line? In fact, more coups happened from bodyguards than they did from the neighboring states, neighboring warlords. So the guys that were learning Nihanchi were doing it to protect themselves against the bodyguards. And the other thing that's imperative to understand is those bodyguards had weapons. So they didn't argue out here by hand to hand. You were out this distance, they just took out a sword or a knife and they killed you. But up close, they also had body armor. Now, yeah, you can punch through stuff, and yes, I agree that there are masters that can easily do that. But I'm telling you that these katas like Nihanchi Shodan show you how to get around that body armor. And because they do, because they are totally devoid of requiring force, they work today on the street. Now, if you take it to completion, they are killing techniques, but you don't have to, especially since they incorporate light force knockouts. You can take this kata and stop at that point and not have to kill somebody. But historically, it's imperative to understand the movements if you understand that those were kills. They weren't bloody noses. Okay, the first movement, and I'm going to position you so the camera can see, is actually when you're going to take your hand and you're going to stick one finger up their nose. Now I know in the tournaments they stick both hands straight out here, but this makes no sense because I can't even get both hands out, especially if somebody's prepared. But I can definitely get one hand out, and the other hand, by putting it here, traps his hands and makes the brain not want to let go. So if I'm doing it like that, he's going to bend backwards. Now if I take and slide both hands back out, not out here, but just slide him down the forearms, I get this reaction that he's now up in close to my face, so that I can come back here and just hook it and get a nice knockout. So again, it's 1, 2, 3, light force knockout. Now, here's a fallacy that a lot of people do. They'll grab the neck and they'll try and pull down. Now, if you tighten your neck, see, he can hold me real easy. And if you get somebody who's really strong, and you got to remember these bodyguards were physically stronger most likely than they're at. So grab me again, okay? But if you take your hands and slide it up here, up to the top, and use your forearms, then I can use my body weight and come down, and if I pushed it back here, I would break the neck, okay? The camera can see, but I'm basically pushing down with my body weight, and it'll snap the lower cervical spine. It has nothing to do with me being strong and pulling this guy down. I can be down to this height. If I get my hands up here, slide it up here, and I will because I'm sliding along the sternocleidomastoid, and I can just make it like a letter C, pull it down, use my body weight. I don't have to have strength, and just fire in back. Be fast and out. So up to this point, you still got the knockout. You can push him, and if you want him today, you can just push him to the ground. There's nothing he can do. Absolutely nothing, because it has no relationship. But these are not, oh yeah, this is power. I'm hitting pain. This is purely hardwired. If you strike yourself like this, the making you come back in is part of the righting reflex. That's hardwired. It has nothing to do with pain. This doesn't hurt, but you still get that reaction. The light force knockout is not a compliance. It's purely hardwired. Your brain, your reticular activating system is shutting yourself off. Coming up in the sternocleidomastoid, both at the same time, does the same thing. It's letter C and then snap. Okay? The second movement, and I see so many different styles arguing whether it's an open hand, a closed fist. I'm going to tell you that it is an open hand, but it really doesn't matter that much. Because if you grab me, first thing I'm going to do in all these things is I'm not going to let you leave the pain party. I'm going to let you stay there. Because if I don't, and I start and you're just going to let go and come back, you're going to hit me. Okay? And in fact, there's two different types of really subsets of techniques in Nihanchi Shodan. One of which is when you grab me with two hands, and one of which is the grab and stab, which is probably what most of the bodyguards, if they're going to cause a coup, would do. They grab you with one hand, then knife you with the other one. Turn around, grab, and stab. This technique is designed for the grab and stab. He grabs me, and I'm going to carve him over here like this. Now, I don't have to move him very hard. He can lock himself down, and I hardly can move him a little bit. Just enough to get my head up, hands up there to push his face around. That's all I need. Look at the angle. I'll get this perfect angle to come up here for a nice strike. Just to be a great knockout strike. Put my right hand underneath his left ear. Put my hand not here from my fingertips, but up here on the elbow. So I'm just sliding it forward. Now, if I come forward and just drop my body weight, I'm not breaking his neck. I'm letting his body just fall as I do this. Now, when he falls, his body weight is going to come rocketing downward and suddenly stop on my neck, on my arms here. Now, if you don't think this is strong, please do me a favor. Lock it here. Just lock it down your side. Now, don't. I'm 180 some pounds. I won't say exactly how much, but I'm over 180 pounds. The point of the matter is he had no trouble holding me. So therefore, if it takes 100 pounds of force on your neck to break it, do you think he could hold 100 pounds? Absolutely. There's not a chance that I'd survive that. So just putting my hands up here, rolling the neck around, and letting yourself fall and bring it down here. Again, notice I don't care whether it's here, here, or here. It's more about what happens than being pretty for a tournament. Okay, and it also don't care whether it's here or here. As long as you got a really good stance, you can support your weight here, I'm fine with it. Okay? The next motion, which is this, okay, and this, I get so many, oh, I'm hauling off and I'm hitting you here. Or I'm hitting you here. These guys had body armor on. You know, I suppose if you're really a master that you can punch through that stuff, that's great. But the truth is, I'm never that good. You don't need to be. But the first thing you need to do is somebody grabs you, and this is again another grab and stab, is here. Is step in, catch this thing. Now I like to go over the top, hit it loosely and pull it here like this, as I'm rotating my body around. Okay? So the first move is here. Second move, I shoot the head out and I bring him down here. Now, guess what? If he had a knife in his left hand, could he have stabbed me? Not a chance. Okay? But at this point, I'm not going to hit here like this. In fact, I'm going to shoot my hand under here like this, step across, and I've got him up on my waist. It takes just ounces of pressure for me to turn like this, and what happens to his neck? This is not punching somebody. It just doesn't work. You just can't generate, I can't generate that kind of force. I guarantee you, however, that if I'm hitting him here and I'm going like this, there's nothing he's going to be able to do. This is such a great move. It's one of my favorites. You know what? It's all hardwired reflex points. Pull him in here, shoot it back underneath here, and yes, I believe that you can actually snap it on here and enhance the knockout again. There's no reason why not. But you step across, which then allows you to turn, and I'm going to let him go because he can feel the pressure. Okay? The last move, and I say last move because I've just done it all starting going to the right. You can do every one of these moves to the left, and they're absolutely identical. There's no reason for me to go through them and say exactly the same thing going to the left-hand side, because you know what? They're just leading with the left-hand side. Pull, shoot the arm out, bring him around, step across, and snap out. You could. It's the same move. Same meaning. It's simplistic. It works fast. It works hard. Sensei Rick said in his seminars and talks that you had about a half a second. I totally agree with that. You've got to protect yourself in that half second. You don't sit there and think, oh yeah, gee whiz, Remember, I said grab and stab? These guys didn't, they had it planned out. They didn't, I think I'm going to stab you, Noble. Okay, here's your stab. It's like 1, 2. So you've got that time. He grabs me at 1 here, 2. He's mine. But this takes no setup time. It makes no thinking about it. It's pure reflex. And again, as the Sensei Rick says, you practice, practice, practice. This becomes secondary nature. Okay, the last move. First thing you do, this is probably the most complicated form of Nihanchi. Okay, now the last time we came across and we went like this, okay? So I went to the right and then came back. The next move I'm going to take is simply I'm going to open him up and put my hands here. Now the reason why I drop my hand here is not blasting him. I don't really give a rat about blasting him. It's not important. But by putting my hand here, he doesn't leave the pain party. This hand just tends to stay here. So I'm just opening him up. But if I can do it right, I tend to swat the nose as I come across. Just delays him and resets the time clock. Because then, once I got it open here, and it's not here, it's not a block, and just shooting it out and over, okay? That's why I get the face. Is bring the hand up and strike it down here. Now this allows me to let go of this trap here. Because look, I've got him trapped. He has real trouble reaching me with that hand. It's not that he can't, but I can turn that. But then this gives me this beautiful whip around strike, which is a great spin, stun, knockout. Okay? But if you look at his legs, there's not much I can do for him right now. There just is not in the right position for me to bring my legs to put him in play. But if I take my hand from here and spin him, then I get this position. Comes up here, and I strike behind and send his foot out. Now, I want you to look at something. Now, okay? If I had body armor on, it would go like a half shell all the way around, bend at the knee. So if I hit him here, what's going to happen? Not a thing. It's an absolute waste of effort. But if I spin him around here, and I can hit him here, and send him over there, then that's very valid, even with body armor on. Well, guess what? Okay, I had just hit him here, spun him around here, send that leg out here. Allows me to bring my hand in here. Now, where's the knee to kick? I get all this, well, I'm kicking the knees. There's no knee there to kick. But you know what? If I bring my leg up, it's easy for me to come out here, pull my head across, and I get another neck break. How much force did that take? None at all. Because I have him in close, and I'm spreading it out, so you get this motion, which they say, oh yeah, I'm kicking one side, kicking. Yeah, you are kicking on one side, but the other side isn't a kick at all. Other side is a stomp, and it should be higher. And you know the beauty of that? Let's say I got him screwed up, and I only got him over here a little bit. You know what? That knee coming up finishes the problem that I didn't get it the first time. So that's self-covering. And I truly like moves that guarantee that even if I'm a screw up, it still happens. Again, it's back to the thing that I have to do it right or I don't survive. So, I'm going to recap, and I'm going to say, again, in closing, Sensei Rick is right. You have to practice, practice, practice. But I also say, if you don't practice with somebody's hands on you, you'll never, ever get this kata right. You'll be doing it in air forever and never get the feel. Because this is not about how fast you can run through it. It's about the feeling of moving somebody around. It is the feeling that when they lock down, you can still get them around him and pull him in position. You can still do that knockout. It has nothing to do with you being stronger. It has nothing to do with you being bigger. It has nothing to do with their pain response. I have obviously not killed, but I have used this to subdue patients that were mentally ill, and they do not feel pain. In cases, some of these cases, they've drugged them in with 3 police officers in chains, and they let them go, and they're like, yeah, well, come here, you. Same technique, you know, come here. Now you're going down, we're going to give you the medicine. I don't have to hit him. I don't have to knock him out. I surely don't have to kill him. But it's the same hardwired response that instead of me brutally or, you know, physically trying to wrestle him down, I use this spins and I win. Okay?
If you watch masters make a kata, and like I've talked about making it their own.
Right.
You will not always see the same speed.
Right.
Okay. So some of what I'm waiting for is you to react.
Absolutely.
So I've got you. I've done the nose thing. I've twisted you around. These are different speeds because this I want to get rid of you. I want to come over the top and get rid of you quickly.
Right.
This I want to spin you around. And so you'll see this in the form as, I want to get you quickly and then I know I'm going to spin you around.
Absolutely correct.
A lot of people will look at katas and think, the faster I go, the faster I'll be. But what they're not interpreting is, you know, what is going on in the kata, okay, that requires a body action.
Right. Absolutely correct. And this is why you get this internet phenomena. I can do a Nihanchi in 45 seconds. No, I'm better than you because I can do it in 30 seconds. And you're right. It's absolutely about the reactions, not about how fast you can do things. And there are different speeds. Everything's done. This first half second, like you said, is correct. Then after that, you adjust to whatever you need to do, not some time clock.
If you're in some time clock, you're going to miss. I mean, this is just the beauty of this thing, is that if I expect your body to behave a certain way, okay, and I miss, and you're not going to stand there, you know, you're not going to take this, even if I use some technique, okay, where I'm in control all the time, I'm not going to make you part of my pain party per se, but if I roll your arms out like this, you're within pressure point strike. Okay?
Right.
That's another interpretation of something. But if you don't move forward, okay, let's say you're a tough guy with a strong form. If you don't move forward, okay, my strike can be trapped by your strike.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm dead. So I have to make sure that one technique works.
Right.
Before I can execute another technique. Before I can execute a third technique.
Right. They're all stacked on top of each other.
Stacked on top of each other. I think that's my point. So I'll let you guys get back.
No, you're absolutely right. Did you have any other questions? Yeah, absolutely. Going through the kata, I'm just going to do it on one side if it's okay with you, okay? But at 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? Trap, carve it over, push, okay? And then, of course, we go to the other side, basically trap and bring him around, because the first move is not duplicate. Okay? Push it around. Okay? Okay? Anyway, I hope that gives you some ideas. Again, I'll encourage you to practice hands-on. You do not have to hurt your opponent, but you do need to feel. If you're not feeling what they're doing, I don't believe you'll ever get this kata down. Okay? Thank you.